Penguin Random House Audio presents The Hype Machine: How Social Media Disrupts Our Elections, Our Economy, and Our Health, and How We Must Adapt, by Sinan Aral. Read for you by Mike Chamberlain. To my parents, thank you for every opportunity, every conversation, and every hug. To Kaya, may you always stay curious, creative, and hungry for knowledge. Preface: Pandemics, Promise, and Peril. The coronavirus pandemic of 2020 was a black swan event, the repercussions of which were felt throughout the world's health systems, economy, and the very fabric of everyday life. Everyone on Earth remembers where they quarantined, who they longed to see, and how they coped with the tremendous mental and physical strain the virus exacted. But another dramatic, albeit subtler, consequence of COVID-19 was the rather abrupt shock it delivered to the world's global communication system, the central nervous system of digital connections that links our planet. Times Square, Trafalgar Square, and Tahrir Square became ghost towns, and as the virus sent humanity scurrying off the streets and into their homes, it pushed billions of people onto their laptops and smartphones, scrambling to get online. The world logged on to Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn in record numbers, desperate for news, medical information, social support, human connection, and jobs. The day the offline world stood still, the online world ignited like a digital forest fire. Demand for social media skyrocketed. Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Facebook Live saw 50% increases in usage overnight. Voice calling over Facebook's apps doubled, while group calls in Italy grew by over 1,000%. As movie theaters closed, new downloads of Netflix jumped 66% in Italy and 35% in Spain. Netflix crashed under the weight of the surge. YouTube was forced to throttle its video quality to handle the deluge. And the Internet stuttered repeatedly throughout the pandemic. Social collaboration tools exploded with activity. Slack CEO Stuart Butterfield tweeted, 1,597 days after hitting 1 million simultaneously connected users in October 15, we passed 10 million. 6 days later, 10.5 million, then 11 million. Next day, 11.5 million. This Monday, 12 million. Today, 12.5 million. He attached a graph showing the number of newly created Slack work teams to his tweet thread, which, after March 12th, looked like a hockey stick with an extra long handle pointing straight up. Digital natives were already on social media, but the coronavirus forced many digital Luddites to use social technologies for the first time. New users flocked to social platforms in droves, building armies of fresh profiles, wiring into what I call the hype machine, the real-time communications ecosystem created by social media. Describing their attempts to cope with the demand, Alex Schultz and Jay Parikh, Facebook's heads of analytics and engineering, respectively, wrote, "Usage growth from COVID-19 is unprecedented across the industry, and we are experiencing new records in usage every day." Mark Zuckerberg was blunter. "We're just trying to keep the lights on over here," he said. As the entire planet was denied physical contact for months on end, the coronavirus shocked our use and perception of social technologies in dramatic ways. Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, and Instagram became indispensable sources of human connection, timely medical information, social support, outreach, pandemic fundraising, free impromptu concerts, collaborative art projects, and real-time updates about the spread of the virus. Families played Monopoly over Facebook. Friends attended cocktail mixers and live group chats. neighbors maintained vibrant WhatsApp groups, and many followed the news on Twitter. Social technologies connected humanity when the planet was forced to disconnect. Group video kept families together. Daily messages kept tabs on our parents and our kids. Hangouts kept work teams collaborating while the world stood still. Even my 6-year-old, who gets almost no screen time, connected with his friends and his first-grade class every day over the hype machine. Social platforms provided access to critical medical information about how to socially distance, whether to wear masks, where the hot spots were, and how to be safe at home. The platform companies got right to work, providing new services and data to model and mitigate the spread of the pandemic. Facebook used aggregate anonymous mobility data to create co-location maps of where people from different geographies were most likely to cross paths, which aided epidemiologists modeling where the pandemic was likely to spread next from one geography to another. They spun up disease prevention maps that leveraged Facebook's mobile app data to help understand how people were moving and therefore how they might be spreading the virus. As the director of the MIT Initiative on the Digital Economy, one of the largest centers researching the influence of digital technologies on our world, and head of MIT's Social Analytics Lab, a team of 30 brilliant MIT faculty and students studying the impact of social media on society, I felt we needed all hands on deck to address the crisis. We organized Zoom meetings to brainstorm how we could contribute to efforts to address the pandemic. While stressing the need to first do no harm, I reached out to my contacts at social platforms around the world to see how we could help. In a week, we created 3 projects supporting national and international health organizations, measuring the effect of social distancing on COVID-19 spread and fighting pandemic misinformation online. I reached out to Facebook and suggested a collaboration. They responded quickly and said that, since we already had a data licensing agreement, they could share data right away. We focused on modeling the effect of social distancing on the pandemic's spread. Facebook's disease prevention maps tracked aggregated, anonymous Facebook mobile app data on user location density, movement, and network connectivity, as well as the average number of half-kilometer squared spaces in which Facebook users were present each day compared to pre-crisis levels. We worked to combine this data with detailed records of the social distancing orders imposed on different regions, states, and cities around the world. The idea was to estimate the effect of social distancing orders on the number of Facebook users present in public places within the region or city in which the order was imposed, and how those effects spilled over into other regions. We wanted to know if distancing orders worked, and, more important, when they didn't and why. We also advised Facebook's COVID symptom survey, which supplemented traditional disease surveillance with 1 million surveys per week in the United States, asking Facebook users if they had common COVID symptoms and whether they were staying home. As I write this, Facebook is preparing to launch a global survey to users worldwide. I then called John Kelly and Camille Francois of Graphica, one of 2 companies commissioned by the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 and 2020 U.S. presidential elections, to brainstorm how we could track and fight the spread of COVID misinformation and the growing threat of election misinformation ahead of the 2020 election. We decided to monitor, track, and publicly report on the automated software bot, cyborg, and troll networks spreading misinformation about coronavirus and the election around the world, and to measure how misinformation was affecting disease prevention and voting. I also connected with Gustav Prekelt of the Prekelt Foundation in South Africa. Gustav and I already had an active, countrywide project using social media to fight the spread of HIV/AIDS in South Africa. When I asked him how we could collaborate on COVID-19,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?